Have you ever walked into a room and felt something was wrong before anyone said a word? Not because you saw anything, not because someone told you, you just felt it. A tension in your chest, a pressure behind your eyes, like your mind noticed something before you did. Everyone else kept talking, laughing, acting normal. But something in you stayed alert. Something kept scanning the room, trying to understand what everyone else seemed able to ignore. And after a while, you probably started asking yourself a question you could never fully answer. Why do I feel things other people don't? Maybe you're not oversensitive. Maybe your brain learned to notice what other people learn to overlook. And if that feeling sounds familiar, you're not alone. I've spoken to a lot of people who carry that same awareness. People who spent years trying to explain it, to partners who told them they were too sensitive, to friends who couldn't understand why they overthought everything, even to themselves, lying awake at 2 a.m, wondering if something inside them was wired wrong. But nothing was wired wrong. Something adapted, something learned, and over time, psychology gave that adaptation a name: traumatic intelligence. Before you decide what that means, it's important to understand what it actually is. Because it isn't a personality type. And it isn't a list of traits that some people have and others don't. It's a survival response. A biological adaptation your brain built to keep you safe in an environment that stopped feeling predictable. Maybe that environment began early in life. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it was a parent whose silence meant something different every night. A household where one person's mood quietly controlled the emotional temperature of everyone else. A space where getting something wrong didn't just feel uncomfortable. It felt dangerous. Your nervous system noticed that long before you consciously understood it. Not as a thought, not as a decision, as a signal. This environment cannot be misread. And when unpredictability becomes normal, the brain responds exactly the way it was designed to. Your amygdala, the part of the brain responsible for detecting threat, increases its sensitivity. It starts listening more carefully, watching more closely, until eventually it begins detecting patterns most people never even notice. The slight shift in someone's jaw before an argument starts. The pause before an answer comes a little too late. The smile that looks convincing until you realize it never reaches the eyes. Your brain learned to read those signals because getting them wrong once carried a cost. And after enough repetition, those patterns stopped feeling like observations. They started feeling like instincts. Your hippocampus began storing them away, linking certain tones, expressions, silences and reactions to danger. Not as clear memories, as warnings, a constantly updating internal map of what to watch for next. And the difficult part is that the brain rarely stops using that map, even after the environment changes. So years later, you walk into a perfectly normal room, and your body still prepares for impact. A colleague gives you a neutral look across the table, and something inside you tightens. A partner goes quiet for a minute, and your mind immediately starts searching for what changed. A message takes slightly longer than usual to arrive, and suddenly your nervous system begins preparing for loss before anything has even happened. Not in words, in sensation. That tension in your chest, that pressure behind your eyes. The same feeling you recognized at the beginning of this video, because your amygdala is still trying to protect you. It's still asking the same question it learned to ask years ago. Is this safe yet? And the exhausting part is that you can't simply argue with that response. You can't logic your way out of a reflex, because this isn't happening in the thinking part of the brain. It's happening in the part that learned survival through repetition. Which is why so many people with traumatic intelligence end up exhausted by experiences that look small from the outside. Let me ask you something honestly. How many conversations have you replayed in your head that were probably completely fine? How many times have you prepared yourself emotionally for outcomes that never actually happened? How many safe rooms have you sat in while your nervous system quietly waited for them to stop being safe? That isn't weakness, and it isn't failure. It's a threat detection system that learned its job too well. Your brain is still trying to protect you from an environment that may no longer exist. And healing usually begins when you realize something important. Your amygdala does not respond to reassurance. It responds to evidence. Not people saying, relax. Not people saying, you're overthinking. Evidence. Repeated experiences where uncertainty does not end in pain. Moments where silence doesn't become rejection. Where conflict doesn't become danger. Where vulnerability doesn't become punishment. And every time your nervous system expects disaster but safely reaches the other side instead, something slowly begins to change. Not instantly, not dramatically, but gradually the brain updates its predictions. The baseline softens, not because you fixed something broken inside you, but because your nervous system finally started learning something it never had the chance to learn before. That safe rooms exist. The sensitivity may never completely disappear. The awareness probably won't either. But over time, it stops feeling like a fire alarm that reacts to every uncertain moment and starts becoming something calmer, something clearer, an awareness you can use without being controlled by it. You didn't choose to feel this deeply. Your brain chose it because at some point it believed it had to. The work now is not to become less sensitive. It's to teach your nervous system that it no longer has to survive every moment like a threat. And for some people, that may be the first time their body has ever truly learned how to rest.